misty mountains cold.
This music, goosebumps. If that cue was not enough, then we are going to look into the dwarves from the Lord of the Rings universe. Let's begin. Hey everyone, welcome to Care Fiction. I'm your host Subhankar, and today we are going to look into the dwarves from Middle-Earth, or the fictional universe created by JRR Tolkien. Before we begin, this video is an overview of the race of the dwarves and not getting particular into any character or any event. But trust me, it's engrossing. I would like to mention this book, The Silmarillion by JRR Tolkien, which I will be mostly using in this video for reference purposes, apart from the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit books and movies. I missed this book initially, and when I finally got my hands on it, I cannot say enough how good this book is. This book is a trove of history of Middle-Earth. To follow smoothly, I have divided this video into segments. We start with origin, then we move on to the Dwarven Clans, notable realms and locations, language, physiology and nature, skills and craftsmanship, weapons, religion, and finally, inspiration. For a better understanding, let's take a quick look at the cosmology of Middle-Earth. At first, there was Eru, the one who is also known as Ilúvatar by the inhabitants of Middle-Earth. He can be likened to God in this universe. The universe is named Ea, and Middle-Earth is known as Arda. Ilúvatar created the Ainur, the Holy Ones, of whom 14 were to enter the realm of Arda and shape and govern it. These 14 Ainur were called Valar. Well, there was also a 15th one who is known as Melkor, but he turned evil along the path. After the creation of Arda, Ilúvatar created two earthly races called the Children of Ilúvatar, namely Elves, the firstborn, and Men, the followers. Coming to the origin now, Owl, a Vala, out of impatience for the children of Ilúvatar, created the dwarves. Owl, meaning invention, was titled the Smith because of his skills in craftsmanship. So he could not wait for the emergence of elves and men and thus created his own pupils, the dwarves, to teach them his crafts. Therefore he secretly created first the 7 fathers of the dwarves in a hall under the mountains of Middle-Earth. Thus he began to instruct them, but Ilúvatar discovered his creation and thus admonished him because such a thing was out of Owl's power and authority. Realizing his mistake, Owl offered his creations to his father to do with as he would please, including their destruction. But Ilúvatar gave the dwarves a life of their own. When Owl picked up a great hammer to smite the 7 fathers and destroy his presumptuous creations, they shrank back in fear and begged for mercy. And that is how the dwarves, as we know, are smaller in height than elves and men, because they shrank in fear. However, the elves and men were not born yet, and so Ilúvatar decreed that the 7 fathers sleep underground until the firstborn or the elves had awakened. Let's get into the clans of the dwarves. There are 7 clans of the dwarves who descended from the 7 dwarf fathers. At first we have the Longbeards. This clan was founded by the eldest dwarf father of all the 7, Durin, who was at Mount Gundabad in the north of the Misty Mountains. The Longbeards were most friendly to the elves and men and were popularly referred to as Durin's folk. Then we have Firebeards. They originated from the Blue Mountains. They were also known as Uri's folk or Barin's folk, the tribe of Uri or Barin the Scarred. Then we have the Broaddims. They originated from the Blue Mountains. They were also known as Linar's folk or Dwalin's folk, the tribe of Dwalin the Wise or Linar. The Firebeards and the Broaddims were paired in their habitat. The Iron Fists originated far from east of Mount Gundabad. They were also known as Sindri's folk or Teller's folk. The Stiffbeards originated from far east of Mount Guntabad. They were also known as Tulin's folk or Vanha Isa's folk. The Backlocks, who also originated from east of Mount Guntabad, were known as Vigdis folk or Druin's folk, the tribe of Druin the Proud or Vigdis. The Stonefoots originated from far east of Mount Guntabad. They were also known as Var's folk or Malin's folk, the tribe of Var or Malin the Cold. Now we look into some noteworthy Dwarven realms and locations. The most notable being Khazad Dûm, also commonly known as Moria or the Dwarrodelf, was an underground kingdom beneath the Misty Mountains. It was known for being the ancient realm of the Dwarves of Durin's folk. It was the greatest Dwarven kingdom ever. In Sindarin or the Elvish tongue, it is known as Black Chasm. Then we have the lonely mountain known in Sindarin as Erebor. It can be seen extensively in the Hobbit movie. Nogrod and Belegost were two great Dwarven cities located in the Blue Mountains. A few more notable locations are Grey Mountains and Iron Hills, both mountain ranges to the north of Middle-earth, and the Glittering Caves near Helm's Deep. On to the language. The Dwarven language was created by Owl when he created the dwarves themselves and called it Khuzdul, which simply meant Dwarvish. The language was harsh to sound and sounded strange to other people. The dwarves use Angarthas, a runic writing system based on Kurt. Thus, the Angarthas is a runic writing system in Middle-earth, referred to simply as runes, and Kurt, also known as Kurthas Dairon, was the larger and original script of runes created by Dairon. There were different variations of Angarthas depending on their adoption by each Dwarven clan. I'm not getting in depth with the language here because, firstly, it is an overview video, and secondly, the languages are so insightfully developed that each language requires a video in itself. All good? Let's continue. Let us look at their physiology and nature. Since dwarves were not to emerge from their rest before the elves were born, and they had to live under the mountains, so Owl, their creator, imbued them with a great amount of endurance, thus making them stone-hard, stubborn, and greater fortitude for toil, pain, and hunger. They were fiercely loyal to friends and family. Their lifespan extended far beyond that of man, around 250 to 350 years. They cared greatly about mining, crafting, crafts, gold, and gems. Dwarves were often seen as greedy, but their nature gave them resistance to many external influences, including to the evil of the rings of power given to them. The dwarves refused to bury their dead in earth, choosing only to bury them in stone. Moving on to their skills and craftsmanship. Since they were created by Owl, the dwarves were taught special skills by the Vala, and thus spent most of their time crafting, smithing, and mining. They were some of the greatest miners ever to exist in Middle-earth. The dwarves of Khazad Dûm are known to have found mithril, a rare and a precious metal in the mines of Moria. They were also expert masons and smiths. Dwarven weapons and armor are intricately crafted, which includes some famous weapons like Narsil, the sword of Elendil, dragon helm of Dorlomin, a formidable war helmet, and the necklace Noglamir. Let's look into the weapons used by dwarves. They usually use axes as their weapon of choice since it can be used as a tool or a weapon. Additionally, they also used hatchets, mattocks, short swords, warhammers, and very occasionally there is mention of dwarven archers. In terms of religion, the dwarves revere their creator Owl. They call him Mahal in Khuzdul or the Dwarvish tongue, which means maker. They also believed that after their death, Owl would care for them and lead their gathering to the halls of Mandos. The halls of Mandos, also known as the halls of awaiting, was a realm where the spirits of elves and men were gathered to await their respective afterlives. Before we wrap it up, let's look into the inspiration for the dwarves. Tolkien was inspired by the dwarves of Norse mythology and dwarves of Germanic folklore, such as those of the Brothers Grimm, from whom his dwarves take their characteristic affinity with mining, crafting, and greed. Tolkien also took almost all the names of the dwarves from an Old Norse poem called Voluspa, the Prophecy of the Seeress, which is the first poem in the Poetic Edda. The poem contains a section called Vergatal, the Catalogue of Dwarves, from which Tolkien took the names of Thorin and his company, including Fili, Kili, Dwalin, Oin, Bifur, Bofur, and Bombur. It is also widely believed that they are partially based on medieval Jews. Most notably, Tolkien based Khuzdul, the Dwarven language, on Semitic languages, primarily Hebrew. So that's it. It was just an overview video, but there is so much to explore, and we will get onto that. Thank you for watching this video. Drop a like, leave a comment, and please remember to hit that subscribe button. See you soon.